We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience, to the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down. We have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to Right Side Patriots on a Saturday on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
And welcome to Right Side Patriots, Saturday edition. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot with Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor. And Diane, have we all calmed down a little bit from the big election on Tuesday?
We've calmed down, but we're still riding high.
Oh, you got that right. I mean, what a week it's been. And I'll tell you what, it seems like a fast week to me.
It does. It does. I mean, we've all been focused on these elections for so long. It still seems like it just happened. Like we're still, reveling in the victory of it all.
And to some extent, I think we still are. But, there comes a time where you got to get down to business. And I guess that time is now.
I know. Now they've got to follow through on everything that was promised. Ted Cruz looks like he's really going to be our poster child, our torchbearer. And we just got to do what we got to do. Obama has to be stopped. He still will have his pen and his phone for these 2 years, and we need to disconnect his phone and break his pen.
I got a different idea what to do with both of them.
I like how you think.
I'm just saying. I wonder how he'd look signing something by moving his butt around.
Oh, wouldn't that be terrific? I'd like to be on the fly on the wall for that one, to laugh my head off.
Gives a whole new meaning to butt dialing, too.
Doesn't it, though?
Just saying, folks. I'm just saying. We got a heck of a show today. We've got a lot to cover. We are going to talk about the elections. We're gonna kind of wrap that all up so we can move on with that. Diane had a great article out yesterday, folks. I don't know if you saw it. If you didn't, you got to go read it. You'll find it at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. And it's all about how to stop the executive orders, stop the pen and the phone. And this, can be done by Congress. You didn't think it was possible? It is. And Diane's going to tell you how a little bit later in the show. I've got a letter out to Congress today at thepatriotfactor.com. And so, or no, thenationalpatriot.com. I'm still thinking about your article. Mine is in thenationalpatriot.com. And we'll get into that too. We're going to talk about Ferguson. Now, you and I broke into programming a couple of times last night with some breaking news coming out of Ferguson, Missouri. We're going to get people up to date on what's going on in Ferguson and what to expect in the next few days there. So a lot of stuff to get covered today on the show.
Yes, and I think maybe because we have so much to cover, we better shake Muhammad up a little bit. He needs to get his ballistic camel going.
You know, he was a little pissed at us the other day, right after the election, the day after the election. He didn't even want to send quick hitters.
I know. Well, his brethren lost. You know, Obama, his butt-kissing, Islamic-loving, Muslim himself president just didn't cut the mustard. We voted against his policies and politics.
Well, let's see if we can roust the old boy up today. Mohammed Hussein Obama, are you with us? Unfortunately, he is.
Okay.
How's everything in the cave in the mountains of Tora Bora? Says it's a little gamey in there. So it's starting to smell a little gamey. Yeah, if it smells that bad, have your girlfriend go outside. He said that's not a bad idea. Would you fire up the Intercontinental Ballistic Camel and send us today's quick hitters? Got him. You know, he is obnoxious.
Isn't he, though?
I mean to tell you. Wow.
Well, they all are. What do you want?
Let's see here. We've got green energy. We've got a nomination. We've got some turnout. And we're going to be off to South Africa in this episode of Quick Hitters today. Let's start with the world's largest green energy solar plant. It happens to be located in California. Now, it turns out that they have got a federal loan. Go figure, right?
Right.
They took out a federal loan to build the world's largest solar power plant in California. Well, the bill is coming due, and apparently they're not cranking out enough solar power to make it pay for itself. So you know what they're doing? They're applying for a federal grant to pay off their federal loan.
Yes, a grant to the tune of $539 million, folks.
Now, can you or I or any of our listeners, can we go to the bank and take out a loan to pay off the loan we already took out from the bank?
Yeah, and I mean, what they're actually doing is this is an attempt by a very large cash-generating company that has billions of dollars on their balance sheet to get a federal bailout. This is a federal bailout at the taxpayer's expense.
Now, we paid for the thing to begin with. Okay, they took out a federal loan. That's our money.
Yes.
Okay, so we've already paid for the damn thing once. Now they want us to pay for it again.
But here's the real kicker. Guess who owns this Ivanpah? This is the name of the company, solar electric generating plant. You'll never guess who owns it.
Oh, do tell.
Google and renewable energy giant NRG. Google, folks. The same Google we all use every single day.
Now, if you think we're making this up, you can always Google it.
Yeah.
Because we're not making this up.
Yes.
Now, wouldn't it be nice, though? I mean, like, if you decided to go out and buy a brand new car, and you run down to the bank, you say, you know what, I want to buy a brand new car. Can you loan me, let's say, $25,000? Mm-hmm. And the bank says, why, sure we can. Here you go. Here's your $25,000. Enjoy your new car. And then about a year or 2 years later, you go back to the bank and you say, you know what, I want to pay off my loan on that new car you bought me 2 years ago. The bank says, great. And you say, all you got to do is loan me the money to pay it off.
Yeah. And basically, what it boils down to, if this is approved by the US Treasury, the two corporations will not use their own money at all. But like I said, they will be using taxpayer cash to pay off 30% of the cost of their plant. But we taxpayers will receive none of the millions in revenues the plants will generate. In other words, we just got the shaft again.
Well, and Google, they're pretty much flat broke. They don't have any money over there at Google.
No, no, they're just a small piss pot company, right?
Yeah, I mean, folks, this is the kind of crap that's going on in this country, and it's got to stop.
Well, maybe now with this Congress red, maybe now some of this crap will stop.
I still say they should make me the Secretary of Common Sense. And I get to sit there and decide what bills get paid. I get to decide how the money is allocated. And if it doesn't make sense, I say no. And here's what I would be willing to do. I would be willing to do this without taking a salary. Just give me 0.5% of all the money I save the country.
Ah, oh my God, you'd be the richest man in the country.
0.5%. That's all I need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I'd be happy to do this.
Okay.
It'd be my way of giving back to my nation.
Okay. How about doing it for free?
Well, I'm not willing to give that much. I mean, look, if I can, look, this loan is what, $500 million, right?
Sure,
it's like the grant.
539 million to be exact.
Okay, 0.5% of that. That means that 99.5% of that $539 million would not get spent. That
True.
seems like a pretty good deal to me.
True. It does. It does. Okay, I'll go along with that plan.
All right. So I'm the new Secretary of Common Sense. Yeah,
Yes.
right. I can hear our listeners going, oh, for God's sakes.
That's all they need, right?
That's all they need. Let's see. Number 2 on the list, Obama has nominated somebody for the Attorney General spot. We all know that Eric Withholder is going to try and beat a hasty retreat, sneak out the back door without getting handcuffed.
Yes.
And that's going to happen in about a month. So he has nominated a black woman by the name of Loretta Lynch. However, that's Lynch, by the way, Lynch.
Yes.
However, Twitter blew up yesterday because apparently there's a bunch of people out there that think he nominated Loretta Lynn, the country singer.
Okay, but there's something people need to know about this. Okay, she was picked by Al Sharpton.
Oh!
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said before, even before we knew Al Sharpton was going to head up the committee to pick a new attorney general, I said, anybody that Obama picks is going to be worse than Holder. Now we have this pick being made by Al Racebaiter Sharpton.
Yes, and you actually have idiots on Facebook on Twitter saying what a great pick Loretta Lynn is. So between Al Sharpton picking her and the sheeple being the sheeple, what more can we say? This is going to be one hell of a funny nomination, going forward. I just hope the GOP tells Obama to stick Loretta Lynch somewhere.
Well, see, here we got 2 problems with this. First of all, he hurried this up because he thought he was going to win the election and he'd have all the time in the world to get a nomination through and get it confirmed. Turns out, starting in early January, it ain't going to be that easy anymore. So he hurried up and he nominated Loretta Lynch, the non-country singer. And because the old Senate, the one that's going to be hitting the exit here in about a month and a half, 2 months, they're going to go ahead and confirm her. There is nothing that the Republicans or the conservatives in the Senate can do to stop it because Harry Reid's got that nuclear option. It's a straight up or down. All they need is 51 votes, and they've got that. So that's one problem. The other problem is this woman could be she could be a complete knothead. She could have absolutely no experience. She is a federal prosecutor, by the way.
Yes.
But she could have absolutely no prosecutorial experience whatsoever. She could have never cracked a law book in her life. She could be one of these people that sits around picking her nose and watching Oprah all day.
Yeah.
And if we voted against her, if conservatives voted against her, we would still be labeled as racist and sexist.
Well, she is the U.S. attorney in Brooklyn. Now, if any of you know Brooklyn, it's part of New York City, but it's not a huge area. So he's picking this woman who is the U.S. attorney in Brooklyn, in one little borough of Manhattan, to be the Attorney General of the United States. There's something terribly wrong here. He's picking her, and I will say it. He's picking her because she's black and because she's a woman.
Exactly.
That is the only reason he is picking her. And because his good, partner in racist crime, Al Sharpton, really pushed this woman big time.
Well, I mean, look, Al Sharpton's had a lot of he's had a lot of dealings with attorneys over the years, and,
yes.
and he's cut some federal deals, to get out of drug trafficking and things like that. So, he knows the system.
True.
It doesn't necessarily mean he knows what he's doing. It just means that he's had experience in the legal system.
Oh, many, many, many. But you know what? The people in his districts are stupid enough to follow him. And I should say in his church followings, in his, he's not an elected official, thank God. But people, they still follow this man. I just don't get it.
I don't either. I don't understand it either. But there you go. Loretta Lynch is the nominee. She will sail through because there's no way to stop it. No matter how bad she is, she will sail through. And there you have it. Now, let's turn to Ferguson. We're going to talk a lot more about Ferguson, Missouri coming up later in the show. But we've got some figures in for voter turnout in Ferguson.
And it was very low. Only 4 in 10 in residents in Ferguson voted in this election.
That's 40%. Now, there's going to be some that say, well, voter turnout in the midterms is usually pretty low, and sometimes as low as 20 or 25%. So, 4 out of 10, 40%. But you would think with everything that's going on in Ferguson, you would think that people would have tried to have made a political statement, and they did not.
I have the exact figures, exactly 10,222 out of Ferguson's 24,334 registered voters actually voted in this election.
Maybe the rest of them were too busy trying to, pull together matches and kindling and stuff like that, for the big riots coming up.
But this is what the government officials are claiming was the reason for the low turnout in Ferguson.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, they said there was a lack of paper ballots, illegal requests for ID, rain, and police intimidation. That's what they're claiming. You know what? They're full of shit.
Well, how do you really feel?
Yeah, I'm sick of this crap. I am really, really sick of this crap. Okay, voter ID. You need a voter ID to cash a check. You need a voter ID sometimes when you use your credit cards. You need your voter IDs in banks. You need your voter IDs all over the place. But something as important and as sacred as voting, oh no, you don't need your voter ID? Bull. This is to stack the numbers in the Democrats' favor. That's all it's for.
That's all it is. That's all it is, And the weather, they had a little rain, global warming, probably.
Yeah, a few little drops. Give me a break, people. This is just crap.
If you want to get out there and vote, you get out there and vote. I guarantee you there were no police in Ferguson that were keeping people away from the polls. You've got a bunch of people in Ferguson that are looking at this situation and just going, you know what? Why bother? And then you've got other people outside of Ferguson stepping up and trying to tell you why. And this is ridiculous. I mean, the handwriting was on the wall. The Senate was going to turn red. And this is going to be a huge shellacking, a sequel to Shellacking of 2010. And they knew it. And plus, I think there's a bunch of people in Ferguson that just could not get behind this regime anymore.
Yes. And remember, the people that we will talk about and that you see doing all the rioting and the looting and whatever in Ferguson, these are not residents of Ferguson for the most part. These are people that are bussed in by the likes of the Black Panthers, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. These are basically paid instigators. So that contributes to some of this also. This whole thing with Ferguson is totally manufactured for PR.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this deeply here in about 10 or 12 minutes. So, and we're going to let you know exactly what's going on in Ferguson and when things are going to start happening there. But finally, Diane, we've got to go to Cape Town, South Africa for a quick hitter today. Now, you wonder, Cape Town, South Africa, there's always been a lot of problems, in Cape Town over the decades and things. Well, this is actually kind of a good story coming out of Cape Town.
Kind of.
Well, yeah, sort of, kind of, almost. They're engaging in urban farming. Okay,
Which
now
is great.
Yeah, if you don't know what urban farming is, this is turning any plot that you can find within a city into a garden or a farming type situation. Now, the fact that people there are taking to growing their own food is great because it shows that it can be done.
Yes.
And these are people that are doing it without government assistance, and we're not paying for it, so I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But here's the thing that Diane and I kind of find interesting about this. Now, people are planting whatever they can in places like parking lots, which means apparently there's a lot of dirt in their parking lots. They're also using old TV sets as places to grow stuff, and I'm not sure how that works. Okay, people are planting in their lawns.
Yes.
All right, that I get. But here's the one. They're planting garden stuff, food stuff, in toilets.
They're planting foodstuffs in toilets, and they're turning their bathtubs into worm farms. But I said something to Craig before we went on the air, and okay, you have a garden growing in your toilet. What is it called? Self-fertilization?
Well, yeah, and apparently you can water it too.
Come on, people, where is the logic of this? It's...
look, who doesn't want some good, healthy, ripe toilet tomatoes?
Oh, please. And they're calling it a vegolution.
Oh, God.
That's what they're officially calling it. There's a vegolution going on across Cape Town, South Africa. Now, remember, Cape Town, South Africa is probably the most advanced of all the cities in Africa. And here it is, they're planting foodstuffs in toilets.
Yeah.
Hey. I can't stand it.
those aren't potatoes.
No.
What would you plant if you could plant anything, in a toilet? What would you plant?
Obama.
I mean a food source. Okay.
If I can plant anything in a toilet, I wouldn't plant anything in a toilet. Come on, guys. We all know what toilets are for. They're not to grow things, they're to send things down and away.
You could probably grow squash in a toilet. You could probably grow onions in a toilet. Pretty much anything you could grow in the garden. If you could get the dirt in the toilet, you could probably grow it in there.
Please. Just the thought of that, I would never eat something that was grown in a toilet or in a bathtub via a worm farm. Come on, people, you're carrying this a bit too far in South Africa. You are not a poor indigenous city that's rank with ghettos and whatever. You're a modern metropolis.
Now, if you want to beautify Cape Town, you could put flowers in the toilet, but don't put roses in there and then sit down on them, because roses have thorns and that will get your attention.
Very much so, but I like my idea better. Let's plant Obama in the toilet. He's already gone down the toilet, so we might as well plant him in it.
He's just swirling and swirling and swirling in there, isn't he? I saw this article. Diane sent this, and she said, "Look at this," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? They're planting food in their toilets?"
Yes.
But I'll tell you what's even more disgusting is that they're using the bathtubs as worm farms.
Yes.
Ew. Where are they taking a bath?
Maybe they're not. Maybe Cape Town's going to become one smelly, sewage-ridden city. I don't know.
I mean, they're growing food in the toilets, and the bathtubs are becoming worm farms. Am I the only one that has a problem with this? I mean,
no. In a word, no. I guarantee you, I will never be going to Cape Town.
Make sure when you go to the grocery store, folks, that you know where your produce is coming from. And if it comes from Cape Town, South Africa,
leave it on the shelf.
Yeah, just give it up. For people like Diane, that'd be hard because you're a vegetarian. But
yes.
If your produce is coming from South Africa, specifically Cape Town, no.
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 But if you want to use your toilets for other things like I mentioned, be my guest.
Are those hemorrhoids or radishes? It's just not right, folks, and neither are we, apparently.
No, I think Craig and I are still slap happy from all the hours we put in leading up to the election, for all the recaps we've had to do since the election, and from writing about the election. I think we're election slap happy.
Well, we are a little bit, but on the other hand, we do like to keep Saturdays a little bit lighter.
Yes.
So, we bring you the story of toilet tomatoes for a reason, folks, and as a warning. So,
yes, it's a public service announcement. Don't eat any crops coming from South Africa.
Folks, we're going to have to take a quick break, thank God. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri. We're also going to have some more election wrap-ups for you today, and a couple of articles from our posts. Diane's article on how to stop the executive orders, my letter to the new Congress. Lots to do today, folks. Stand by. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years' experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I'm just an old black sheep from the family tree. I'm now a vet and a victim of society. Hell, I stood by the gun just to keep us free. Now my own damn country's turned its back on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. From the Revolution War to the Middle East, I come back to a country that's lost its peace. And now here I stand on the promised land, free and a slave to Uncle Sam. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. Well, you think you know me, but you haven't got a clue. I stood and fought so that you would not have to. Don't tread on me. Yeah, don't tread on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Yeah, the old Middle East is like a man down. The old W's, K-I-A's, M-I-A. And I fight little soldiers in a foreign land.
I believe that every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back goals, be faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
We're glad you've decided to join us here on a Saturday. And Diane, you and I spent a considerable amount of time last night dealing with the situation in Ferguson, Missouri.
Yes, and people need to know we have someone on the ground in Ferguson who shall remain nameless, obviously. And we were watching live feeds as they were happening coming out of Ferguson. And we can safely tell you there are a lot of instigators there. There are a lot of people that were bussed in Ferguson. A lot of these to-be rioters are not natives of Ferguson.
No, I think most of the people in Ferguson, the people that actually live there, would rather not have anything to do with this. Now, obviously, there are some that do.
Yes.
But I think by and large, the people of Ferguson are good people. And they don't want this kind of violence and these kind of riots and things going on. But folks, what you need to know is that this is all boiling down or boiling up, as the case may be, because of the grand jury seated in the Mike Brown case. Mike Brown was shot by Officer Darren Wilson back on August 9th, and grand jury has been looking into this. Now, we have, over the last couple of weeks, seen some leaked documents coming from the grand jury. Now, normally, you don't get leaked documents from a grand jury. You just don't. But this is a very different type of situation. Now, according to the documents and according to the leaked report of the autopsy of Mike Brown, Officer Darren Wilson appears to have done nothing wrong. It appears that he was correct when he said that Mike Brown was struggling with him inside the police car, that Mike Brown may well have been trying to get a hold of Officer Wilson's gun. There is blood on the inside of the car that belongs to the officer. There is gunshot residue inside the car as well as on Mike Brown's hands. All 6 shots that struck Mike Brown came from the front, none from the back, as the rioters and the race baiters want you to believe. These are the things that we're getting in leaked documents. Now, given all of this, it appears that Officer Darren Wilson was well within his rights when he shot this punk, this thug, on the right there that day on the street in Ferguson. He feared for his life. I mean, this is a guy that was 6'3", 6'4", and weighed nearly 300 pounds.
Yes, but you see, the problem is the media kept putting up and keeps putting up the pictures of him when he was about 12 or 13 years old. This is the same tactic they did when Trayvon Martin was shot by George Zimmerman. They want you to believe this was a sweet, angelic kid. This was no such thing. This was a giant thug. He was a hoodlum. And this is who the people are turning into, a saint of sorts. Come on, people. Just because he was black doesn't mean he was in the right.
You know, we've seen, and I have actually, and I think you did too, Diane, actually posted some of the photos from his Facebook account before those were taken down, showing him making, flashing gang symbols, things like that. We have the video, the surveillance video, just minutes, literally minutes before the shooting occurred in August, that shows Mike Brown strong arm robbing the owner of a convenience store.
Yes.
And I mean, literally grabbing the guy by the throat and shoving him against the counter on his way out the door. This kid was a thug. I mean, that's all he was. He was an 18-year-old, 300 pounds, 6'3" thug.
Yes, not the sweet angelic kid that the media is trying to portray him as. This officer was justified in shooting him. He was protecting his own life. This guy was coming at him, charging at him with his hand out, trying to grab the gun. What was the officer supposed to do? Let him take it and turn it around and shoot him?
I mean, all this hands up, don't shoot crap is nothing but crap.
It's lies.
According to the autopsy reports and the forensics, and those things are just scientific facts, folks. There's no opinion involved in forensics. It's nothing but facts. And those facts apparently show that his hands were not up. He was not standing out in the middle of the street when the first shots rang out. He was, in fact, struggling with Officer Darren Wilson, trying to get Officer Wilson's gun. So the grand jury, yesterday, it looked like late in the afternoon, like the grand jury may actually reveal their findings. And this brought about 4,000 to 5,000, from what we're hearing, people into the downtown Ferguson area and the surrounding area as well. And of course, this is going to spill over into St. Louis, because St. Louis is literally across the river from Ferguson. It's right there. Yes. So this is going to spill over. Now, we also saw video yesterday of National Guard helicopters coming in to Ferguson. We saw at least 4 of those coming into Ferguson. So all indications were that this grand jury was going to make their announcement yesterday late afternoon or sometime in the evening. Well, then, after Diane and I came on here at CPR and did some breaking news with that in mind, then we found out that that announcement from the grand jury is most likely coming on Monday at about 2 p.m. Central, which would be at about 3 p.m. on the East Coast.
Yes, and they did this on purpose. They delayed it. They were originally going to announce it. However, the Don't Shoot Coalition, in conjunction with the officials in St. Louis, wanted a 48-hour stay of that so they could prepare. There have been warnings issued in Ferguson for families to get out, for businesses to board up. They are expecting trouble. Now, if this goes down the way we are hoping and Officer Wilson gets found innocent of charges, you know the element will be acting up. And you know what's so stupid about all this, Craig? They're destroying their own property.
Yeah, I mean, here's what we're hearing, folks, and we do have people on the ground in Ferguson, okay, and they are, handing us this information. And what we are discovering is that the thugs and the rioters and the race baiters, and you call them whatever you want, okay, what they intend to do is start by burning fire stations and police stations in Ferguson. This way, they can keep the authorities and the first responders busy protecting their own front and back door, and they won't have the ability to get out and protect the businesses. Once they get that started, then the intent is to literally burn downtown Ferguson to ashes. And we saw some of this in the nights right after the shooting in August, and we saw them torch buildings in Ferguson. What we see now, and like Diane said, is a whole lot of people that have been bussed in. Last night, we were watching live feeds coming out of Ferguson. One of the things we saw that was very disturbing was probably the largest Black Panther, the new Black Panthers flag that I have ever seen in my life. This thing took scores of people to hang on to it, and they were waving it around like crazy. So the new Black Panthers are in town.
Yes.
You know that a lot of people have been busted in. We also saw a lot of people wearing those anonymous masks. These are cowards that don't want their faces seen.
Correct. And we also had a statement from Ferguson Mayor James Knowles that he went on local media and actually said this: Ferguson is preparing for the worst. Now that's sad, people, when you know that these outsiders are going to come in and torch your town because they are defending a thug. They don't care what his background was. And by the way, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because his own mother was just arrested this week for armed robbery and will be facing federal charges. This is the same woman that's supposed to speak on violence before the UN. You can see the whole setup that's going on here. Again, the blacks are the victims, the whites are the perpetrators. The whites owe us because they had slaves 150 years ago. Guess what, folks? No one alive today ever owned a slave. Get over it. Every people at one time or another throughout history has been a slave. Every group, every religious group, every racial group throughout history have been slaves at one time or another.
Well, and you wonder, really what's going on here, because we see a lot of, and what we saw last night, folks, it was very different than what we saw, let's say, a month ago in Ferguson. What we saw last night transpiring there is a whole bunch of college age and probably high school age, but mostly college age people. And I'd say at least half of them were white.
Yes.
And these are people that have been brought in to Ferguson is about 73% black by population and demographic. Okay? So these are a lot of people that have been bussed in from somewhere else. We know that people are being bussed in from as far away as California, from as far away as New York, from Philadelphia. all over the country, in fact. So these are people that have been brought in to stir up trouble. The people that are the ringleaders of this are being paid. We have also found that out. Large sums of money. We're talking 6 figures.
Yes. 6 figures to instigate other people. They won't do it themselves because they're cowards, and they're, some of them, hiding behind the masks, but they will have others do the torching and the looting and the rioting while they stand back, cowards that they are, and count their money.
Well, and let me say this, too, and this is kind of reading between the lines, folks, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what we're going to see on Monday. When the mayor of Ferguson steps out and tells the press and the people of Ferguson that Ferguson is preparing for the worst, that means that chances are there will be no indictment of Officer Darren Wilson.
Correct.
If there was an indictment in hand and that was going to be the announcement, there would be no reason to come out and say we're preparing for the worst. This is also, I believe, why we're seeing National Guard helicopters coming into Ferguson. They're staging there. They're going to be on hand. We don't know what other types of law enforcement are going to be on the streets on Monday afternoon in Ferguson, but I guarantee you that if this comes down as a non-indictment, Ferguson is going to catch fire. I mean, yes. it is going to be a mess in Ferguson.
These people, these bastards, for lack of a better word, are actually holding the city hostage. We don't know who comprised the grand jury. We don't know their makeup, man, woman, race, anything. We don't know anything about the grand jury. But we do know there is some intimidation of the grand jury in the fact that they know what's going to happen if the verdict comes down in favor of Officer Wilson. They also know what could possibly happen down the road if the verdict comes out in favor of Brown. People aren't going to take it anymore. We are sick and tired of catering to instigators, thugs, hoodlums, thieves, rioters. We are tired of catering to people because of the color of their skin instead of judging them by their character. This has got to stop, folks. And the media is as much at fault of this as anybody else because they keep perpetrating the myth of the black victim. Most blacks do not want any part of this garbage. It's a small minority who are vocal, who are being, egged on by the likes of Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Eric Holder, Barack Obama. They are using their okay, basically, to do what they're doing.
Now, let me just go into this a little bit deeper here. I don't know who instructs the grand jury, okay? I don't.
The judge. I'm assuming it's the judge.
Well, there is no judge in a grand jury.
Oh, you're right.
There is no judge, so it can't be a judge.
You're right.
It could be the district attorney, for all I know. But I hope in those instructions, something akin to what I'm going to say here was delivered to the members of the grand jury. In that, if you find there is no reason to indict Officer Darren Wilson, and yet you indict him anyway because of the pressure being put on by a bunch of bust-in thugs, you need to understand something. You are only going to delay the inevitable outcome of this. If you indict him, there will be a trial. In the trial, scientific evidence will be shown, the same evidence that the grand jury is seeing. You'll have the forensics, you'll have the autopsy report, you'll have medical experts on the stand describing what they saw and how these things came about. You will also have a bunch of witnesses. Now, some of the witnesses are going to speak up on behalf of Mike Brown. Okay, we know that. But we also know, because of the forensic evidence, they're not telling the truth. However, there are other witnesses who say they saw Brown fighting with Officer Wilson and that he was in the car and trying to get the gun. He did not have his hands up. He was not complying with the officer's commands. So you'll have a he said, she said, or he said, or she said deal going on there. So if there's a trial, the inevitable outcome of a trial based on the scientific evidence, if that evidence is true to what has been leaked, will be that Officer Darren Wilson will be acquitted, in which case the riots will start then instead of on Monday.
Craig,
you're not going to stop it, you're just going to delay it.
You're also working on a supposition here because it depends on who is on that jury. I'm sorry to say it, but it's going to depend on the racial makeup of the jury. We have come to that, folks. Instead of looking for truth, you look to defend, well, he's black, so he's innocent. It has, unfortunately, come to that. And part of that is the media's fault. How many times is black on white crime not reported?
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Yet if one incident in a town like this, where the officer was justified in doing what he did, it becomes a major blowout. I got news for you people. Sometimes the bad guy is the one killed.
You know, here's the other thing that people need to be aware of as we move towards Monday. Whatever happens on Monday will not, I believe, be solely confined to Ferguson and St. Louis. If there is no indictment of Officer Wilson, and I believe that is going to be the case, I also believe that violence is going to ensue, and I mean ugly, nasty, deadly violence is going to ensue.
I agree also.
I also believe that that sort of mentality is going to spill over into other major cities. You're going to see race riots in major urban cities. I would not be surprised that you would see them in Los Angeles or Chicago or Detroit or New York or Atlanta, quite possibly in places like Dallas or Houston. You're going to see this kind of thing. It's going to have a spillover effect. So don't think this is only going to be confined to Ferguson. Now, can I prove that it's going to have that spillover effect? No. Have I heard rumblings to that effect? No. But I'm going by history.
But you know what could stop it all? But it will never happen if Barack Obama, Eric Holder, Al Sharpton, and Jesse Jackson went on television and told the American people, no, you cannot do this. But that will never happen. But that would be the honorable thing to do. But then again, you're talking about four men who have no honor. But that could diffuse everything. That would diffuse it, cut it off immediately. But it'll never happen.
We just don't expect to see that kind of thing because, again, there's no history of that. They could have diffused a lot of the trouble in the Trayvon Martin thing. They chose not to. We don't see any reason why they will act differently in this case. The problem is Monday. This all is supposed to come down on Monday. Now, what we heard last night was that to expect the decision from the grand jury, whether or not to indict, by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that 2 o'clock time period is accurate. I almost wonder if we're not going to hear this very early in the morning or at least substantially before 2 o'clock.
To throw people off.
To throw people off.
Yes.
I think it all depends. And we're going to watch the situation in Ferguson this weekend. We're going to keep an eye out. Like I said, we've got people on the ground there. We're going to see what's going on there. We're going to see what kind of staging is going on by National Guard and other law enforcement agencies. That is going to tell us a lot about what to expect on Monday. But right now, the word that we have is somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 o'clock Central Time, Monday afternoon, for the decision from the grand jury.
By the way, Craig, are we sure it's Central Time?
Well, St. Louis is Central Time.
Doesn't mean that they're going to announce at Central Time. Remember, the major headquarters of all the media comes out of EST.
Well, that's true, but the grand jury itself is located in Ferguson, in St. Louis, in Central Time.
Personally, I think the ruling has already come down.
Well, I think they've done. I think they're done with their business.
Yeah,
they just haven't announced it.
I think it came down on Friday, and they're just delaying the announcement until Monday.
I agree, but I guarantee you it's Central Time. That's where the grand jury is Central Time, and we're getting our information directly from St. Louis. So
true.
I'm going to stick with 2:00 Central Time, but folks, do not be surprised if it comes about earlier than 2:00.
Or they hold it off. You never know.
It could go either way. They could pull a surprise and do it yet this weekend. Just on the off chance that they're going to throw people off and have an easier time containing what it looks like is going to be a very, very ugly, brutal situation. If you're in St. Louis today, if you're in Ferguson today, we wish you the best. We know the people there are not the people that are gearing up to cause this problem. By and large, these are people that have been bussed in.
Yes.
And we don't want to paint this picture in such a way as to make the general population, the majority of the people who live in Ferguson, out to be a bunch of thugs and thieves and arsonists and quite possibly killers. They're not.
They're not.
These are good people in Ferguson. We know that they're boarding up businesses already. We know that they're boarding up windows and doors from the inside and from the outside. We know that hardware stores and lumber yards are nearly sold out of the materials that it takes to do that kind of job.
Yes.
We know that people have been told to get out of Ferguson. We know that a young man by the name of Schaefer, I believe, was from the college there, Jesuit College, in St. Louis, was severely beaten yesterday.
Yes.
He is going to survive. He's going to be okay. He's telling his story. But folks, he was one of the people there trying to support Mike Brown. Okay, he was taking up for Mike Brown, and they nearly beat him to death. So what do you think they're going to do to other people?
And something else you have to remember here. The ministers and pastors of this town have tried to quell this, and they have failed. They can't.
They've done their level best. They have tried.
Yes.
They've been out on the streets. They've been trying to quiet things down. The thugs and thieves and race baiters of this country will have none of it. And they're going to do what they are going to do. Folks, Diane and I will watch it this weekend. We'll keep an eye on the situation there this weekend. If we need to break in, we'll break into regular programming. We'll also be on standby Monday throughout the day for any breaking news coming from Ferguson, Missouri. But we wanted you to know, we wanted to bring you up to date, what we saw last night, what we were hearing from our people on the ground last night, and what we expect to happen either this weekend or sometime on Monday.
Yes, we'll be here.
I hope it turns out better than what we're thinking, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
No, I have a feeling, and I hope that it goes in favor of Officer Wilson because he is truly innocent. But we're going to see Watts all over again because the people being bussed in, for a lack of a better word, they're animals.
They're spoiling for a fight, and they're not going to take the scientific evidence for what it is. They've already made up their minds, and they are going to do what they are going to do. And let's just hope that innocent people don't get killed in all of this. But folks, that's the situation in Ferguson as we know it. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to do a little election wrap-up for you because there is more information coming from this election on Tuesday, and we want to get that out to you as well. Don't go anywhere. Right Side Patriots will be back after this.
I believe that every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold. Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over, to be the toughest,
the strongest,
the bravest in the world. And when we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 through its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us. Like figure skating in Harlem.
Like youth enrichment services. Like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
Offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members. Join Team City and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to city.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Here comes the second hour of Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Diane, I thought I'd give people fair warning. Here we come. You know, Craig Andreessen and Diane Story with you, your Right Side Patriots. She of the Patriot Factor, me of the National Patriot. We're glad you're with us on a Saturday. We've got election stuff to wrap up, Diane.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
Now, you know, the other day when we were on, we were thanking a lot of different people, and it occurred to me there's two very important people that had a lot to do with the election results that we failed to thank, and I would like to correct that.
Okay. Is one of them somebody by the name of Ted Cruz?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think that we as conservatives owe a great deal of thanks to two very important people in this election. Barack Hussein Obama and Debbie What's-Her-Name Schultz.
Oh, you mean the little lapdog. Okay.
Yeah, without them, we probably could not have pulled this off. I mean, she is the chair of the DNC.
Yes.
Okay, so she kind of orchestrated their whole campaign, and he, of course, is the lame dictator. And, you know, without him and his policies and his agenda and his pen and his phone, and without the little poodle, Debbie What's-Her-Name Schultz, their whole message probably would not have gotten out there the way it did, and had their message not been delivered so forcefully over the last 2 years since the election of 2012, we may not have pulled this off.
Well, unfortunately, the little lapdog happens to be my congressperson.
You lucky devil.
Aren't I lucky? And I have had the unfortunate opportunity to have met her. The woman is about 5 feet tall, skinny as a rail, looks more like a lapdog in person than you can ever imagine. But this is a die-hard liberal. There is no reasoning with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And in the political circles that I'm in, I did have to meet her a few times. This woman is dangerous because she is totally, totally brainwashed. Now, Broward County, where I live, is predominantly Democrat. It outnumbers Republicans by 100,000 votes. The problem here is the Republican Party, of which I'm a member, BREC, the executive committee, we do not run the right candidates. We need to come at her with our version of her in a way. Someone forceful, someone bigger than her, someone who really knows the issues, and a good public speaker. We had that in Karen Harrington. Unfortunately, there was a lot of animosity from those she beat in the primary, and it got stacked against her. The man that ran this time, he's a very nice man. I mean, I'm not saying anything against him personally, but he was not the right person to go up against her.
Well, this wasn't his first rodeo either, and he has not won in the past.
This was his third attempt.
Yeah, we're talking about Joe Kaufman.
Yes, this was his third attempt. And again, this is nothing personal against Joe. He couldn't beat Karen in the primaries to run against her. He couldn't beat her at all. This is the wrong candidate. I only hope that Joe realizes this is not where he should be. You don't start out as a newbie and go right for congressional seats. You have to start out on the local level. You have to work your way up if you're going to run for something as serious as U.S. Congress. This is why we're still stuck with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. The only good thing is the Republican steamrolling has basically neutered her. She is not going to be, she is not going to be worth anything. We're not going to see her on Fox anymore. We're not going to have her all over the TV anymore because she, as of Tuesday, became just another Democrat sitting in the halls of Congress.
I think it's unfortunate, but I think the Democratic National Committee is going to jettison her as their chairperson. I'd like to see her stick around because she really engineered a fantastic campaign for conservatives. But
yes, she did. Just opening her mouth gives conservatives ammunition.
I think they're going to jettison her within the next month or two. I think they're going to say, you know what, Debbie, you really, crapped on this one, so out you go. My guess is she's there in her congressional office now, hiding under the desk, hoping they don't notice her.
Or she's crawling up Obama's leg, begging, please, please, make them keep me.
Yeah, I don't think he's very happy with her either right now,
But wait a minute, Craig, you remember Obama thinks he actually won because he thinks 2/3 of the people didn't vote.
Well, yeah, and he carried the 2/3 that didn't vote. That's his excuse. They were with him.
Right. Of course they were.
Huh?
Of course they were.
If they were with you, wouldn't they have gone out and voted? Mm-hmm. I mean, look, when you try to salvage the absolute steamrolling that you got on Tuesday by saying, well, the 2/3 of the people that didn't vote, they're solidly on our side. It doesn't work. And I got to tell you something else too. At the press briefing the other day, the reporters were badgering Josh Ernst, the Baghdad Bob of the second half of this regime, and he was desperate. He was trying to spin this thing into something that it wasn't. They were literally asking, "Is this a bad thing for the Democrat Party?" And he was trying to make it out to be a good thing, and they started laughing at him out loud.
Yes, yes. I mean, these people are totally clueless. You lost. Get over it. You didn't just lose by a little. You got steamrolled. The people of America are tired of the liberal agenda, their message, their propaganda, and everything they stood for. And that became apparent on Tuesday. There was no voter fraud. There was no voter intimidation. There was no anything except we, the people, saying we are sick of Obama's and the leftist agendas, policies, and politics. It's over. We're done with it. We've had enough.
One of the funniest pictures I've seen so far this week was at where Obama and Boehner and Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell were all sitting at a table together. And Obama and Reid just looked puny. I mean, because they had Boehner on one side and they had McConnell as the other bookend. And these two are sitting in the middle. Harry Reid, I mean, he looked pissed. He just looked pissed.
Well, the best part was when he said, well, now we need to work together. Where was that the past 6 years when you knocked down every Republican bill that came to the Senate? You wouldn't even let it go to the floor for discussion, you frickin' hypocrite.
Well, now they're saying they expect a flurry of legislative activity between now and Christmas break. Well, I want to know what flurry they're going to have, because all the bills that are stacked up on Harry Reid's desk are bills that came over from the Republican House, and he doesn't want any of those going to the floor.
No. Oh, heaven forbid. No. This whole thing is absolutely ridiculous because the Democrats have to accept the fact that they lost. Accept the fact that you lost and try to rebuild your party. Remember, the Democratic Party that's in existence today is not the Democratic Party of Kennedy. And by the way, Kennedy would probably be a Republican today.
Yeah, if he was around, he would be.
Exactly. But the Democratic Party of today is not the true Democratic Party of Kennedy, of any of those that came before him. This party has been hijacked by socialists, communists, Islamists, every other ist you can think of, except loyalist to the Constitution. This party has been so corrupted. It's not even funny. However, you do have some, like the Blue Dog Democrats, who are gaining in numbers, who are waking up and saying, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. Remember, there were people being interviewed during this election, Democratic leaders, who would not admit if they voted or didn't vote for Obama in the election.
And I got to tell you, I think there's more to that than just trying to play it close to the vest leading up to the election. I think they have voters' remorse. I mean, they did vote for him. We know they voted for him. But now they don't want to admit it because they see what it's become.
Or they didn't. I, to this day,
that could
wonder.
Be, but there's the Democrat Party is in such lockstep when it comes to elections. They're not like us. We split our votes and we shouldn't.
Right.
They never do. I mean, they just don't.
But the thing is, I have always wondered, did Bill Clinton pull that lever for Obama?
That's a great point, because
I don't think he did.
He does not like Obama. He does not like Obama. The only reason he spoke up for Obama at the convention in 2012 was to get Obama's endorsement for Hillary.
Yes, and
because
so
at that
far
time,
that has not come.
At that time,
that has not come.
No, it hasn't. Well, in a way, they did that. That 60 Minutes thing where they're slobbering all over each other.
Yeah, but what has come later, where they have had animosity on camera towards each other.
Well,
Remember,
that's
Hillary
true.
has put out some real derogatory statements against him.
I'm telling you right now that he's dead in the water. Okay, he is the lame dictator. The shine is off. Okay, he is no longer able to rally people to any cause at this point, and we know that because in the days leading up to the election, people were walking out on his speeches, and this was his core liberal voters. These were black people in black districts that were getting up and walking out halfway into his speeches. They wanted nothing more to do with the man. When you lose your core voters, I mean, you're just diehard to the core voters, you're done having an influence. So he knows it. He's not happy about it, but he knows he can no longer sway people. Okay, and you know, the whole idea now that he's going to be able to get people rallied around Hillary is laughable.
I don't think Hillary wants him.
No, well, Hillary herself is a pariah.
Yes.
At this point, because of Benghazi. Okay, because of some of, I mean, she just came out a week ago and said, you know, don't get to thinking that businesses and corporations create jobs. Excuse me? Who do you think does? You know, obviously as a liberal.
It isn't the Democrats. It isn't the Democrats.
But see, obviously as a liberal and a socialist, government creates jobs. That's the mindset. Okay?
Yes.
Obama comes out and says, you know, these women that leave the workforce and stay home to take care of their kids, that's not a decision we want Americans to be making. In other words, it would be better for women not to take care of their children, but let the government take care of their children for them. Mm-hmm. And this is the liberal socialist mindset. And, you know, so both he and she are now pariahs to the Democrat Party.
Yes.
This Benghazi thing is not going to go away. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to ramp up. And once we get the new Congress seated, I expect to see these investigations, Benghazi, Fast and Furious, the IRS, you know, you name the investigation, I expect to see it get ramped up because now both sides of Capitol Hill will be in the hands of Republicans, and the hard questions will be asked both in the House and in the Senate.
The problem is the pen and the phone, and that we'll get into in the next half an hour because I do have ways that can be stopped. But that will only be able to be stopped after the new Congress is sworn in. We still have these 3 months, 2.5 months, whatever, to really be in fear of that pen and phone, because yesterday he came on the news and said within the next X number of weeks, he will be granting amnesty to 11 million illegal criminals. That's what they are. They came here illegally, breaking all laws. He's going to be granting amnesty to them. Now, this is one of the reasons why his core base, his black base, is against him, because who are these illegals going to be taking jobs away from? From the blacks. These are not rocket scientists, these illegals. These are not white collar workers, these illegals. These are blue collar workers. They are going to take jobs away from black Americans.
They're blue collar.
That's why they're turning on him.
They're blue collar and they're entry level jobs people. And if you look at the demographics, and this is nothing against black people, okay?
No.
But if you look at the demographics and you look at the unemployment figures, unemployment and underemployment has hit the black demographic harder than any other demographic in America.
Yes.
Therefore, the ones that are still working are now underemployed. If they had a good job before, they're now underemployed. They're probably working a couple of part-time jobs. Okay? If you can bring in people that are going to work for less, guess what the companies and the businesses are going to do? Because they got to make a living. And while their taxes are going up, their cost of doing business is going up, they're going to have to cut somewhere. And they're going to take people that are going to work for less, and that's going to be the Hispanic community. It's also going to cut into the welfare rolls. So people that have relied, regardless of color, people that have relied on government welfare rolls to make a living are going to see that diminish if amnesty is granted, and they're not happy.
Right. He's got the majority of the country against him right now, but in his mind, 2/3 of it still supports him. The man is delusional. And guys, I am serious about this. Did you notice, any of you notice at Wednesday's press conference, his eyes never engaged the camera. They never stayed focused. He kept darting them back and forth and back and forth. He stumbled over words. He was not himself.
He couldn't even manage to focus on the teleprompters.
Yes.
Which is very unusual for him, because usually he's drilled into those things like a laser beam.
Right.
But he couldn't even manage to do that. Now, Diane, I'm going to ask you a question here, because this is a question that we're seeing, Diane and I are seeing a lot on social media, and we know that our listeners would like to have an answer to this. What about the possibility of impeachment when the new Congress is seated in January?
Let's put it this way. Being led by Ted Cruz, who is looking into all his infringements upon the laws of our land, and I have Ted Cruz's list right in front of me. If anybody wants to know any of it, I can put it up online, or I can say a few things here. But people like Ted Cruz, T-Publicans, are just fuming. We now have the votes to impeach this man come January with just a few, and I'm talking less than 5. If less than 5 Democrats would come over, we would have the supermajority needed to impeach him. After he is impeached, he can then be arrested for treason and crimes against America.
Now, are we being too optimistic on this, or are we being realistic on this? And I say we're being realistic.
Realistic, because knowing Ted Cruz and his focus, the fact that he is not afraid to do what's right, I think there is a chance. And it has nothing to do with the color of this man's skin. It has everything to do with his blatant violations of the U.S. Constitution, the law of our land.
Now, let me add something else into this. And this is why both Diane and I feel that this is a very real possibility. There are Democrats in the Senate who are none too fond of Obama at this point. Now, I think, and I mentioned it before, these investigations are going to ramp up. And I think as they do, and the truth starts coming out, I think you're going to see Democrats who are scared crapless at this point that what happened to at least 7 members of theirs in the Senate and several more over in the House last Tuesday is going to happen to them in 2016 if they don't get on the right side of the Constitution and the right side of the rule of law.
Right.
And when they start seeing the truth about what this man has been involved in, they will swing to our side when it comes to impeachment. They don't want to give up their seats. They don't want to get beat, and they know if they stand with him regardless of the evidence that is presented, they're finished.
Yes. Yes. And remember, we have the Benghazi investigation going on now, and this I send to Trey Gowdy's people. Please, you now have the support of the American people. You need to subpoena Barack Hussein Obama. If he turns down or pulls some legal mumbo jumbo to get out of that subpoena, you know you got him. Please, please, Trey, subpoena this man.
I'm glad to know you're on a first-name basis with Congressman Gowdy. He won't even let me call him Congressman Gowdy. I have to call him Sir. So I'm glad to know at least one of us is on a first-name basis with Sir Gowdy.
I'm just being, appealing to him as an American to another American, to a Constitution-loving and abiding American to another Constitution and loving American. Please, please do the right thing. I think he will. I think Obama will get subpoenaed in the end, especially now after these results. But Hillary, we know, is as guilty as sin. No matter what she says at the hearing, we just roll our eyes and yeah, right.
At this point, what difference does it make?
Yes, that's going to be her thing. What difference does it make? But
I'm telling you, if she does run, Diane doesn't think she's going to run. Diane might be right. I think she is, because I think her arrogance will make her do it. But I'm telling you that what difference does it make line is going to haunt her if she runs. It's going to haunt her like the ghosts of the Benghazi Four.
And so is the Jobs remark that she made. Those two remarks alone can sink her.
The whole thing, her whole history is going to come back to haunt her, all the way back to Watergate, when she was fired from the legal firm that was investigating Watergate for unethical behavior. It's all going to come back to haunt her.
Vince Foster is going to come back to haunt her as well.
Yep. Whitewater is going to come back. I mean, the whole thing. But, so impeachment is a possibility. Now, here's the other thing in the couple of minutes that we have left in this segment, is that we know for a fact that the screaming and crying and wailing of racism is going to be rampant throughout the next 2 years.
Yes.
Anytime the new Congress steps up and tells Obama where to stick his pen and his phone, there's going to be screaming and howling and yowling, racism, oh, the racists, oh, they're just a bunch of racists. And we've already heard it. The other day, and why Fox News has this idiot on the air still is beyond me, but Geraldo Rivera comes up on Fox News the other day, and he says, well, Obama got his ass handed to him by a bunch of old white people.
Yes, and old white people. Let's see. I didn't know Tim Scott was an old white person. I didn't know Mia Love was an old white person. I didn't know the youngest congressperson ever elected. I don't remember what state she was from, but she's 33 years old. I don't believe she's an old white person. She's white, but she's not old.
Yeah, she's the youngest one, yeah.
Yeah, no, America sent a message. We, the people, sent the message that we have had enough of Barack Hussein Obama, his politics, his policies, his race baiting, his Islamic ties, his everything that is against the Constitution of this country.
Apparently it escaped Geraldo Rivera's notice that twice in the 2 weeks leading up to the election, that a wide range of ages of black people handed Obama his hat because they got up and walked out of his speeches.
Yeah, they have what is selective memory. They have selective memory. They pick and choose what they want to remember. They pick and choose what they want to use. Hopefully, though, this Congress, when that race card is pulled out, tells them where you can shove your race card. There's a simple thing. It's a thing that's been going around the internet, and it's not meant in any derogatory way. However, we hate Obama's white half as much as it's claimed we hate his black half. We do not hate the color of Obama's skin. We hate the character of the man, and we hate his politics and his policies. For our side, it has nothing to do with the color of the man's skin. Nothing.
You can scream racism all you want, liberals, but the problem when you do that is that it's false, it's fabricated, and what it does is it waters down real racism to the point where nobody gives a damn about it anymore. And we do understand that there is real racism still in this country. Now, it's fading, okay? It's certainly not the preeminent feeling in this country anymore, but it still exists, and we know. Just
like we have anti-Semitism in this country,
by
some even on our own side.
Yes, we do. But when you make these false allegations of racism, it literally makes people not blink twice if real racism raises its ugly head, because it's just like, oh, they're crying wolf again.
Yes.
I mean, you're doing race relations an enormous disservice, and you can thank people like Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and Obama and Holder and Maxine Waters and the Charlie Rangel came out and did it again the other day.
Yes.
I mean, the list just goes on and on, folks. It's not racism. It's the policies and the politics. And those policies and those politics put forth by liberals and socialists are not good for this country, and they're not good for the people of this country. And people are waking up. Regardless of their skin color, they are waking up. to that reality.
Yes.
We saw that on Tuesday. So there you go.
And a lot of Democrats crossed over and voted Republican because a lot of the mainstream Democrats are tired of it. They don't like their party hijacked the way it has been hijacked. They want their party back to being what it was, the Kennedy Democrats. So, guys, we have a real chance here. But like I said in the beginning, we have 2.5 more months to fear because that pen and phone will be running rampant.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking about Diane's article on how to stop those Obama executive orders via the Congress. Folks, It's a fascinating article. She did a lot of research. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with that after this.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter, so that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I woke up this morning with a buzz rolling round in my brain. I haven't been drinking, but it feels pretty good just the same. It must be contagious, it looks like it's going around. It's cool once you catch it, can't keep your feet on the ground. Oh, now come on, let's get something started. Yeah, come on, let's start something now. We're gonna rock this country. We're gonna rock this country. And the brown-eyed boy and the blue-eyed girl gotta really go psycho. Give it a whirl. We're gonna rock this country right out of this world. From Utah to Texas, Minnesota, Mississippi, too. Oh, Nevada, no matter where you live, this buzz is for you. I said, come on, let's get something started. this world. Plugging in the power, cranking up the sound. It's coming your direction, it's headed to your town. We're kicking up dust, blowing off steam. Let's get nuts now, everybody scream. We're gonna rock this country. We're gonna rock this country. This world. Get ready, we're coming.
Welcome back to Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen and Diane Sori with you. And folks, we've had just a jam-packed show today. Lots of information to get out, and we're not done yet. Because I got to tell you, if you haven't read it, Diane's got a great article. She published it yesterday at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. And this is all about how the new Congress can override and get rid of Obama's pen and his phone and his executive orders. And I think maybe, Diane, the best way to get into this is, first of all, to explain who exactly is affected by executive orders.
Okay, and what people need to understand is executive orders are technically just policy or procedure issued by the president that apply only to executive branch employees. However, under Obama, they are being used to direct certain tasks or actions to cabinet members, along with making some executive orders having the force of law after being approved by the Senate or the House. And this approval that the Senate and House gives them has to be stopped, just totally stopped. Now, but Obama is forgetting two important things. And one of them is that while he can do this, his executive orders can also be overturned. And I found the way, using our Constitution, that Congress can do it. And first thing Congress has to understand is that any executive order that has any effect on individuals that are not government employees is a violation of Article 1, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution, meaning Congress now has a responsibility to both we the people and the Constitution to veto any executive order that has any effect on any non-governmental employees. That's number one. Number two, most of the time, executive orders issued by presidents, no matter what the conspirators say, most of them are innocuous in their intent. Even though they might be used to create some policy change, most of them are not so bad in what they're intending to do. However, with Obama, we have to fear him because he wants to fundamentally change this government by his executive orders, by executive fiat. And the one thing he is going to do, which he has threatened to do, which he has said he is going to do, is issue an executive order to grant amnesty to at least 11 million illegals currently residing in this country. So we first need to remember that 2 out of 3 of Americans are opposed to amnesty for illegals. Now, here is where it gets into the legalities. While there is no specific provision in the Constitution that permits amnesty per se, there is a, quote, grant of executive power given in Article 2, which allows Obama some degree of, quote, discretionary power in issuing an order if he deems it both necessary and proper. However, in Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, while it gives Obama broad pardoning powers even to those breaking federal laws, this becomes negated by the fact that Obama has not enforced the current immigration laws on the books. These illegals would not be allowed to stay here according to our current laws, yet he is allowing that to happen. So any power given to him by Article 2, Section 2, has immediately been negated. Now, Article 2, Section 3, which lists the duties of the president, in the next to last clause clearly states that, and I'm going to quote the Constitution, that the president must take that laws that are fully in place and fully execute them. So if Obama modifies in any way the current immigration laws on the books through executive order, or if he chooses to selectively enforce only certain provisions of those laws through executive order, then he is in direct violation of Article 2, Section 3, thus making his executive order null and void. Now, here's also one important thing that most people do not know about. These executive orders, no matter what he thinks, are subject to judicial review. That means that any of his orders can be struck down and rendered null and void by the Supreme Court if the Supreme Court deems that said orders are unsupported by statute. This is the main reason why Obama is trying to stack the Supreme Court and all the federal courts with left-leaning judges who will support his executive orders. Craig, do you want to say anything before I go on?
You know, this is so important because what this does, what Diane has found in the Constitution, and you would think that a quote-unquote constitutional law professor like Hussein would know this, and I'm sure he does. His executive orders, his pen and his phone, are basically null and void come early January. Right now, he's getting away with it because the Senate is in the hands of the same ilk politically as he is. So they're more than happy to just let him do what he wants to do. That's what they want. They want socialism. They want a dictatorship. So they're more than happy to let it happen. But come January, that all changes.
Yes.
And the majority of the Senate is going to be Republican. So this is going to change the whole complexion of what he's able to do with his pen and his phone. That is why he's in a hurry to get this amnesty thing done before the Christmas break. And I guarantee you he will do it before the end of this month.
Yes.
And now then it's going to be up to that brand new Congress, the 114th, to strike it down immediately.
And here are two other important things. Congress itself can overturn his executive order by simply overturning parts of the order instead of going after the entire order itself. For example, if the executive order is based on a statute, Congress can change the statute. That nullifies the executive order. Or Congress can refuse to fund any activities that derive from all or part of that order. And the only way this would not apply is if Obama acts according to an executive power granted to him by the Constitution. But like I've stated before with Article 2, he is not acting according to the Constitution. So Congress can go one of those two ways. Also, we know Obama will veto if Congress overturns anything he does, okay? We know that's going to happen. But we also know that now we have the huge majority in Congress. All we need is a small handful of Democrats to cross over and join in that veto. And with the fear of 2016 and them losing their jobs, the handful of blue dogs might very well do that. But the bottom line in all this is he can be stopped. His executive orders can be overturned. Congress just needs to grow a set, do the bidding of we, the people, for a change, do the job we elected them to do, and we can stop this man. We can force him to the golf course, which keeps him, we don't like him on the golf course, but in this case, it keeps him out of
It
the
keeps
business.
him occupied.
It keeps him occupied. It keeps him away from the business of this country. We can force him to the golf course, literally rendering him null and void, he himself null and void. We just need to ride on this victory that we got in December. We need them to do the right thing, to do the job we elected them to, and we can really cut this man off. We can cut off his executive orders, his executive fiats. We can render him null and void.
Now, let me suggest something to our listeners here, because we saw this happening a lot yesterday. This is an article that Diane put out in her blog, The Patriot Factor, thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com, and throughout the day yesterday, people were writing back to Diane. They're writing comments in social media and on the blog. They're sending it to their congresspeople. They are sending it to their senators. They're sending it to their representatives over in the House. That article of hers is saying, look what you can do. If you put your mind, look what you can do. Look what the Constitution allows you to do. Now do it, damn it, do it. Okay, here's what I suggest. If you have not read that article, read it. Then copy the link and send it to your members of Congress. Send it to the House, send it to the Senate. Let them know what they can do. And just swamp them with this thing.
Yeah, what I read on the air was just very brief synopsis. I go into much more detail in the article, and I use the words of the Constitution. So this is not my, opinions or anything. This is according to the law of our land.
It's hard, cold fact, folks.
This man can be stopped. But now Craig also has a great article to Congress that he posted today in the nationalpatriot.com. And it's coming, it's dealing with some of the stuff I dealt with, but it's covering a bit more. Craig, you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, what I did today is I wrote basically an open letter to the new Congress. This is to all the people who will be sworn in or re-sworn in, as the case may be, in January. And we believe that's going to be early in January the 3rd or the 6th or right around that time. But what I did was I outlined what we have done on Tuesday. We elected them. And I asked people to substitute the word hired for the word elected, because essentially that's exactly what it is. They are employees of we the people. We are their bosses. We hired them to do certain things. We hired them to get rid of Obamacare, defund it, turn it upside down, shake it out, get rid of it, whatever they have to do, repeal it, doesn't matter, just get rid of it. It's destroying our country and our economy. It's a job killer. Get rid of it. And I'll tell you what, it's going to start killing people too. So get rid of it.
It already has.
Seal up the damn border. Okay, build a fence, build it high, electrify it if you have to, deport illegal aliens. Okay, do it. That's what we hired you to do. Now, we understand that the immigration system needs to be brought up to speed. We understand that it takes way too long for people who really, really want to become part of this country. They want to become American citizens to do it. So streamline that, but don't do it until after you seal the border. Seal the damn border. Yes. I go through a whole list of these types of things. Cut the budget. Okay, we don't need to know how fast shrimp can run on a treadmill. We don't need to be spending money on that. We've got a whole bunch of other entities of government, other offices of government that do nothing but waste our money. Get rid of them.
Yes.
And then take the money that you save and put it into our military. That's going to pay off dividends in the future. Freedom, liberty, not only for us, but for our friends around the world. Invest in the military. I don't give a crap about this green energy. Okay? Stop it. I mean, earlier today, we talked on this show, we talked about the world's largest solar power plant located in California applying for a federal grant to pay off their federal loan. Stop it. Okay, the price of gas is coming down. We know that, and we know why. It's got nothing to do with the Obama regime. It's got to do with private entities drilling holes on private land up in North Dakota and getting gas from oil shale. We know where this is coming from. Build the damn pipeline. Okay, if we can get gas in our own country, oil from our own country, energy from our own country, and from our friends in Canada, why would we want to get a drop of it from our enemies in other parts of the world? It increases our power at home and our power on the world stage. If we have our own energy, if we become independent, drill some more holes, open up some of these federal lands that you've been protecting for no damn good reason at all, and let's get energy independent. This is what we hired you to do, so do it. Okay? Don't lie to us anymore. We're not in the mood. You know, we can smell bullshit from a mile away, even upwind. Don't tell us what we want to hear. Tell us the truth. Okay?
Yes.
We'd rather have that than to have you blowing smoke in our face. We're done with that. Okay?
Yes.
So, you know, these are the things that we hired this Congress to do, and we want these things done. You know, I mean, you go through the article, there's a whole list of things like this. And it's very simple to understand. It's so simple even a congressperson can understand it. And it's not just for the people that we elected, it's for everybody in Congress. You do the will of the people and you'll be just fine. Okay? But cross us? You tell us you're going to do one thing in the campaign and do something else when you get the seat? And guess what? We're going to find somebody to replace you the next time you're up for election. And in some cases, if you screw with us enough, we may not even wait that long. We may just overturn your election, hold a special election, and put somebody else in that seat. We're done with you people.
Yes.
Now, here's something that I think is very important. I put this in the article. A lot of those who were elected on Tuesday, trust me, we're overjoyed that we have the Senate and increased our numbers in the House. We're overjoyed. But some of you were not our first choice, okay? We voted for you. We hired you because you were better than the liberal socialists you were running against. You're not our first choice, and we have the clothespins to prove it. We went to the polls, and we held our nose, and we pulled the lever, and we put you in place.
Yes.
Now, do what we want. Do what the people who hired you to do. And there's a pretty damn good chance we'll re-elect you the next time around. But don't mess with us, because we're done with that. Don't be telling one thing to one group and another thing to another group just to make both groups happy. Do what we hired you to do. Pass the bills that are sitting on Harry Reid's desk. 365 of them sitting on his desk. Put them on the floor, get them voted on, pass them. If Obama vetoes them, do your damnedest to override the vetoes. These are bills that will increase jobs and get government out of the way. Do it. If you can't override the vetoes, that's okay. At least you tried. We won't hold it against you, but we will replace him in 2016.
Yes. Yes.
So do what you were hired to do. And what I'm asking people to do is the same thing I asked people to do with Diane's article. Send it to the Congress. Send it to those you just elected. Send it to every member in Congress. Send them the link to the article. Sign your name on it if you want. Please do. But send it to them. Make a copy of it. Send it to them on snail mail. I don't care how they get it. But they need to get it. They need to understand that we're done messing around. We hired them. They work for us. It's just that simple, folks.
Yes. And as we're getting ready to close out our show, I would just like to say two very short things. First, welcome home, Sergeant Andrew Tamarisi.
Damn right.
It's good to have you back on American soil and home here in Florida. Number two, I'd like to personally apologize to the Tamarisi family for our POS president not doing one damn thing to get you home. I apologize on behalf of the American people. I'm sure the American people agree with me, but we are so glad you are home and you are free.
I'll tell you, it's been an incredible week. We were glad to have been a part of it, but now comes the hard part. We're going to hold their feet to the fire. We're going to hold them accountable. And that's what we do. We're not just about getting the seats in the Senate and holding the House. We're about holding those seat holders accountable for their actions. That's what Diane's about. That's what I'm about. That's what Right Side Patriots are about. And we're glad you're with us. Folks, it's been a great show. If you missed our show on Wednesday, we got a little giddy, but we're going to replay it again here coming up in about 5 minutes. This show, if you missed any part of this, and we had a lot of information in this show, will be rebroadcast later tonight. Please go to CPRWorldwideMedia.com. Look at the schedule. You'll find out when we're going to be on. And Diane and I will be back in the chair come next Wednesday. Diane, time to say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Go find a network won't to treat me right. Y'all can take the change and stick it out of sight. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Well, it used to be easy, get a place, build a house. Now the EPA said no, that's the home of the blue mouse. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna use some common sense and we're gonna take back our country. Well, they've beaten to death that pole race horse. This politically correct thing has run its course. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna take back our country. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Bing. Lots of divorces from showing them bangs. Why don't you mind your own business? That's good advice. Mind your own business. Dad got it right. But if you mind your business, then you won't be minding mine. Every sign says for sale, for lease. Price reduced. Make an offer, please. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna take back our country. There's no way today we could build Boulder Dam. There'd be way too many government permit scams. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for the good news? We're gonna take back this country. Hey, Barack, pack your bags, head to Chicago. Take your teleprompter with you so you'll know where to go. Don't move it on.